Justice served in an honest fight. True crime tales till the verdict's right. Solving more than just trivial quests, where sentences rule at the defense rests.
All right, everybody, we are live, and I've got the defense rests in the house. So let's bring Jody on here. We're going to go to the set here, and Jody, welcome to the show. And we are awaiting Ty Tucker's call. He should be calling here. He told me he would be calling at about 8:00. So once we get him on the line, we will be going forward with our interview with Ty. Now, he has promised to give an update to everyone in regards to several key things. What's going on with this trial? Hold on one second here. We got to move that up. Yep, there we go. What's going on with this trial? What's going on with the motion to change venue? What's going on with the motions to or the complaints that were filed against Judge Morgan and Judge Jones? In fact, and also there's potential lawsuits that are being potentially filed here in the near future. So he's going to be updating us all on that. And then he's also promised to address some comments that were made on his Facebook page from a certain Jeffrey Thurner, which appears to be some sort of a troll. I don't know who he is. None of it makes sense, but he'll give a little background on that. And then there's also been some happenings with the with the feds. The United States Attorney's Office is investigating down there, and he said they are in the house. They're at the courthouse, or have been at the courthouse down there, because there's been some indictments issued in regards to some of the things that have to do with things surrounding his case. So all of that will be discussed and updated. So
good on you for getting in touch with Vinny too.
Yes. Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me.
Yes. Awesome.
Yes, I was able to get his attention with the $10 super chat.
Money well spent, I say.
I would say so. So Vinny, money speaks to Vinny. So get over there and flood him with $10 super chats if you have $10 laying around, and encourage him to consider covering Ty's case. He's promised to do the kind of probably goes on. Do you want to go out there? Hold on. Sorry, guys. My son is wanting to go out to the playroom, and he's trying to come over here and turn the lights on. Hopefully that will come to fruition, because it would be great to have someone like Vinny involved in bringing attention to Ty's case. I mean, that will be a huge win. So,
it'd be great if you can get this change of venue.
Absolutely. Oh, here it is. Call coming through. Here we are. Let's go. Speaker.
Sent to you from Michael Tucker, an inmate at Monroe County Sheriff's Department. To accept this call, press or say 5. To refuse this call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using IC Solutions. You may begin speaking now.
Hey, Steve, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, Ty? How you doing, man?
Oh, just hanging out in jail.
I know. Trying to make the best of a Friday night in jail, right? I have Jody here too. She's on with me as well for the interview here. So,
hey, Ty.
That was great, man. I like doing our show. That was really easy to talk to, real nice.
Yep. And I'm going to switch you to my speaker here. I don't know if this will give any back. Let me see. I'm going to try to get her so you can hear her. Give me a moment.
Oh,
okay. Let's see here. I don't know if it'll. You guys have to let me know if it gives any feedback. I don't know if it's going to. Is there feedback coming through, guys?
I can't hear any feedback.
Okay, good. Can you hear? You can hear Jody then.
I can barely hear her, but hold on a second. I think I can turn it up a little on my side.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good.
Okay, good. So Ty, so I know you and I we were talking yesterday. So tell us what's the latest on your trial and everything that's going on as far as where things stand with everything. Let the viewership know.
I don't know. We're gonna see what happens, but I'll tell you what. I've been having fun spending my money lately.
Well, that's good.
Oh yeah. I'm going to make it hurt, man. I mean, straight up, if you want to take me back to trial this time, man, I mean, look, we paid for it the first time, but no, this time, man, they're going to pay for every freaking single cent.
Good.
You know, so.
Good. Run that bill up.
Well, I mean, look, you got to figure, I mean, just the transcripts alone for my trial are probably going to be a good, man, 50, 60 grand just for that, you know. But now I've been looking out, I've been sending out letters to all the experts that I plan on calling. You know, experts, and then also I'm getting a private investigator, process server. I need transcription services. I need copy services, all kinds of different stuff.
Heck yeah.
And the jack, I already went ahead and I got my jack packet from them. That's why I'm getting all these vendors from. So these guys are pre-approved through the jack already. All right. And, and then there's another one that I think you're going to really love.
What's that?
Actually, and the prosecution is probably not going to like hearing, even though I'm pretty sure they know about it already.
What's that?
I also got a letter from the clerk of courts saying that they're more than happy to help me with my subpoenas and making sure my subpoenas get issued, right?
Right.
Well, one of the subpoenas I'm doing is the subpoenas to suspect them for all of JoJo's jail calls and JoJo's visitation videos.
Oh, nice.
So, and the jack also gives you money for that too, because I'm sure they're going to want money for other copies.
Oh, yeah.
Phone call copies of all those videos.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that the state goes ahead and pays for those too.
Well, I was going to say, because that could have him talking about, well, God knows what. I mean, various different things
Exactly.
that would contradict his testimony.
Yep. I mean,
yep.
I'll tell you right now, man, the knowledge that I've gotten about him, and his life, man, for that time period and even the time period he was out, it's amazing what you learn in jail.
Oh, I'm sure.
There's been different stories about where he's at right now, whether he's in Texas or whether he's actually on Wisteria Island still playing. Apparently he was playing King of the Homeless on Wisteria Island at the time of the trial. That would have been nice to know.
Really?
Of course, the prosecution's not about to tell me that.
Right, sure.
And then, the other one is, man, the whole methamphetamine use. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to go ahead, man, bring that up, man, at the next trial, too. So.
Yeah,
we'll see what
motive
happens.
right there.
I don't even, to be honest, if he's out in Texas, I doubt JoJo even shows for trial.
Right. Well, that's why. Do you believe? I'm of the belief that the reason why they wanted to get his full testimony is because they would prefer he not come to trial, so they can just read his testimony into the record and not have to have you get another crack.
I won't allow that. I won't allow that.
Okay.
They can't do that. And man, they have to bring a body. You know what I'm saying? Again, I have the right to confront my accuser. You know what I'm saying? And man, granted, I did have the chance to cross-examine him.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, they would have the ability to potentially argue, and you could, with as corrupt as Morgan's been.
But the thing is, man, I can also say that I've learned more information. Plus, I was, if you remember right, I had him subject to recall, and Judge Jones did not allow me to recall him.
Right.
So I had planned on asking him more questions at the trial the first time.
Right.
So I doubt they'd even win that argument. There's just no way. You're not going to get away with it.
Well, he would have to be. I mean, he would have to have a reason to not be showing up, which would be. But then the problem with that for him is if he doesn't show up, that blows his whole plea deal, and he's potentially going back to prison. So he's got to show up.
They're going to do that to him anyway. That's the whole. That's the ridiculous thing for him anyway.
Right.
Right. As soon as this is over, man. Because from what I've heard, and man, again, I can't. This is again hearsay as far as things go. I mean, I do know he absconded once because I got an alert on my phone about that. Right.
Right.
After I got arrested.
Right.
Right. But but there was an alert. And I had my phone set to an alert with his probation officer. That the violated that it was supposed to alert my phone.
Right.
Now, from what I understand, though, he did pop positive a couple times, man, for drugs.
Right.
Right. While he was on probation, so he should have already gone away for those 30 years. Right. You got to remember, it's 30 years he goes away for.
Yeah.
Right. So I have a feeling what's going to happen is as soon as JoJo is done testifying and they're done using him, they're going to violate him and they're going to go ahead and throw him away for those 30 years. I somehow doubt they're going to honor the agreement with him. Just my own little take on things. I can't say for sure we're not at that point yet. But it seems like something they would do.
Oh yeah, definitely it does. Definitely it does. Now, how's the change of venue motion going? Is that
It's going good.
okay?
It's going good. It's a little bit more complex than you would think.
Right.
Because obviously it's hard for me to gather up all of the same things that the same evidence, the same exhibits that I would if I was on the outside. Plus, making copies of them is kind of difficult here in the jail.
Sure.
I've had them lose things before, and I can't really afford to have them lose exhibits. However, so far it's gone pretty good.
Good.
And the thing is, and besides me writing the motion, then I also have to get the affidavits, and I have a few affidavits that I'm going to get, right? Because you have to have at least 2 affidavits swearing to the facts that that I'm presenting in the motion. Now that's pretty easily done. Most of it's going to be based upon my civil cases. It is, right? Because really, in all reality, I have conflicts with every agency in the legal system down here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whether it depends on what it is, but I've got everything from lawsuits to complaints with higher agencies, whatever. Right? Everybody has a vested interest in seeing me lose.
Yep.
Wonder why the jail's not making it easy for me to be pro se. Well, yeah, they don't want me to win because I'm suing the sheriff. I'm suing the sheriff's office. I'm suing I don't know how many deputies. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's like, okay, no, they're not going to make it easy for me to win. That's just, they have a vested interest in seeing me lose, which means I shouldn't be in this jail right now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's also not surprising that I have gotten some retaliation now, man. Got a few guards, man. Actually, one in particular who decided he was going to pull the whole retaliation thing, right? Well, he decided to throw some things away from my cell, and I told him, I was like, those are things that were put in as evidence, by the state.
Right.
Right? And he's like, well, you don't like it, get in your cell, man, slam the door, maybe sit myself for a couple hours, whatever, who cares, right? But he was just trying the whole bully tactic, right? And the thing was, it's like, okay, and the first time, when I first made the complaint against him, look, I wasn't looking for anything other than assurances that this shit wasn't going to happen again, right?
Right.
But no, man, he goes ahead and intercepts his own, he's a sergeant, he intercepts his own grievance and then writes me back this nasty message. I was like, okay, well, if you want to play that way, then how about, man, I go ahead and, man, hit you with this one. I want to press criminal charges for evidence tampering in a capital case, which is punishable by a PBL. How about that? You know what I'm saying? And, man, I haven't heard anything since. And I also haven't seen that particular officer since.
Well, that's good.
Hopefully, man, that cleared things up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because look, man, I'm not trying to be that guy, but at the same time, man, I can't have guards coming into my cell just thinking they can take whatever the hell they want.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. You know what I'm saying? There's a ton of evidence in my and man, exhibits in my cell as it stands right now.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as contraband goes, yes, I have a lot of contraband in my cell. Everybody knows it. You know what I'm saying? But it's already been authorized for me to have it.
Right. Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So, yeah, but this guy, he's just mad over. He was mad over a fight we had back in 2019.
Gotcha.
And it's like, look, man, I don't have time for this childish kind of crap. You know what I'm saying? I've got much bigger issues on my plate.
Oh, absolutely. You're fighting for your life, man. So.
Yeah, I just wanted to nip it in the butt, man, right there. You know what I mean? Let's end this right now. We're not playing these games. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not playing.
So after we talked yesterday, I had not seen Jeffrey Thurner's responses on the Facebook, which I guess is what must have been shown. So just for people to understand, you were telling me yesterday that this is a guy who.
Jeffrey Thurner and Ryan Hastings are the same person.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? They're exactly the same person.
Okay.
The guy's all right. I know who he is. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, man, was he at the scene of the crime? No.
Well, I was going to say, he's calling it a shooting. It's a stabbing. Yeah. This guy has no clue. Like, I read this and I said, is this guy serious? Like,
if I had to take a guess, he was probably drunk when he rubbed it.
Right. So he sounds like he's trolling or something. So that's what this is about. So that guy's pretty much just somebody who a troll.
Look, the case is confusing enough. We don't need extra confusion out there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just that's just like I said, it's not that he's a bad guy. He's a decent guy. I imagine he was probably lit and just decided to mess with you. You know
Got you.
what I'm saying? But
Okay.
he's probably not realizing, what the consequences.
Well,
of that
some of
could
these
be,
people that have come on your page, they're not even realizing that you're back in jail again. They're not realizing where the case stands. Some people think the case just like went away. So, and they're not realizing that it's still being litigated right now down in Florida. So, now on that note, what's going on? Do you have an update you can share with everybody on the Judge Jones complaint? Is that moving forward?
Well, Judge Jones, I made a
because we want to see justice there.
and that's the Judicial Qualifications Commission. Basically, that's trying to have Judge Jones thrown off the bench.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right? And he should be.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? There's no doubt about it. He should be thrown off the bench for not only what he did, what people saw at trial, but man, the things he did over the years. 6 years he was on the case.
Right.
You know what I mean? This case, look, this could have been, it should have been over a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? But no, Judge Jones just kept it going and then allowed the prosecution and then allowed the sheriff's department to just drive this case to where it is now. So anyway, they accepted the complaint on him, right? And they're going to be reviewing it over the next 6 weeks or whatever. We'll see how that goes. As far as Judge Morgan goes, he's got a problem too because he kind of made himself. He made it. He made it worse by what he did.
Oh,
right. If he had looked at it and just disqualified himself right then and there, then it wouldn't be as bad. But to sit there and try and say that it was untimely when you knew there were 2 days left on the clock and make me send it to the third DCA, well, that makes him look horrible.
Right.
Besides the issues that I brought up in the disqualification.
Well, I was going to say, he's made a case for how horrible he is. Look, let's be real here. Your bond should never have been revoked at all. And that is the first thing that anybody from an outside view looks in at the situation where you did not, you took the test, you passed it on day 3. He's revoking it on day 2. Florida case law is crystal clear that revocation of bond is the absolute last thing that should be there. And this was not some situation where you were.
By law, he also had to give me a hearing.
Yes, and you should have been allowed to come down to Florida, and then he revokes it, and then doesn't provide any type of guidance, and then they go pick you up at the airport like you're a fugitive when you're heading. They know you're heading to Key West, and then they go to the press and lie to the press. There's another defamation.
I'll call you right back.
Never mind the amount.
Yep.
All those things are absolutely true, and no, none of that should have happened.
Yep.
And yes, Judge Morgan, man, he was being blatant. Like when I wrote that letter to him about him being a bull in a china shop, I wasn't kidding.
Yep.
Anyway, I'll call you right back.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so he's going to be calling us back here. This happened last time because he only gets 15 minutes. So he'll be back for the second 15, and then that's normally what we do. We do about 30 minutes. So,
thanks,
yep. So
3.1 million, though. Like, if you look at any of the other cases that are going on, people that have had multiple unalivings and stuff with children only get a $1 million bond. It's just ridiculous.
Indeed. Yep.
Totally.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Buddy, hold on. I'm live. Sorry, my little one's trying to. He's dying to get on camera. But yeah, that in and of itself when people hear that demonstrates that there's just an issue with the judge. Why would you do that? Why would you revoke bond and it's go from $60,000 to $3.1 million because he was late, and it was not like it was some sort of issue that was ongoing. He never had the issue before.
He's been off 5 years.
Oh, it was horrible, man. That was a terrible situation. And that to me just demonstrated a bias right away.
Absolutely. And he shouldn't be where he is now.
No, he should not. He absolutely should not. So we are awaiting. If you're just coming in, we are awaiting Ty to call us back. So
you were saying something about a Naeem Jackson.
Yes. Oh, we
doing a motion there, or
the lawsuit. Yes. Kind of fall back, baby. Hold on.
Subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using IC Solutions. You may begin speaking now.
Okay. God, I was hoping to never have to hear that woman ever again.
I know.
So, I'll
So,
tell you what, though, man, you're absolutely right about everything you said about Morgan, and that's
Yep.
also why he was trying to keep me from the court paperwork. So I finally got it from the clerk of courts,
right.
right? When I did that change of address, I had the clerk of court send me everything that had been filed since March, right? Anyway, so they go ahead and they send me, the warrant, the affidavit, and all that stuff, which proves they lied, man. They lied to put me in here. You know what I'm saying? Now that whole thing, I mean, again, it's not very useful right at the moment. I mean, Lord knows I could go and try and get rid of habeas and do that whole thing. But the thing is I've got other things on deck right now.
Right.
Personally, I will do that eventually if I don't get out. And the other thing is here's the other thing is disqualifying Morgan, right? And this is one motion you will see filed very soon right now. It's an extension for the 30-day time limit, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a 30-day time limit after a judge is disqualified, right?
Right.
Where you can go ahead and have every decision they ever made reheard or reconsidered, which I plan on doing, right?
Oh.
Not all of them, but most of them with me
Right.
as far as Morgan goes, especially the one that put me in here, right? So anyway, that one, I'm going to go ahead and have all that stuff redone. But what I'm asking for the extension for is because I know whatever judge they give me next is going to be just as dirty, right?
Right. Sure.
I know this. There's just no way around it. They're going to be just as dirty, right? So, okay, to get past the dirty judge thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for the extension on that time limit because I'm allowed to, right? And I'm going to ask for it till after the change of venue. So that the judge in Miami goes ahead and makes the decision on all that, everything that's reheard, whether or not I stay in jail, all the different things that Judge Morgan went ahead and made decisions on. Because he made some horrible decisions during his short little span.
Right.
He was, he talk about destructive. Even Judge Jones was bad.
Right.
But he was never as blatant as Morgan was. Morgan was just out and out blatantly hostile. And from the very get-go. And man, I made the mistake in the beginning of thinking, that this guy might be fair. Boy, was I wrong.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
When do you think the motion to change the venue will be heard, Ty?
Like that writ of prohibition. See, that's the other thing is that writ of prohibition is pretty nasty. You're basically having the higher court order you off of the case because of the damage you're doing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when I go to the JQC, which I am going to do, I am going to file a JQC complaint against Morgan too. And I have no doubt that his career may be very short because of this. We'll have to see.
Oh, very well could be because if he gets
hostile
yep.
about it.
Now, Jody, what was your question?
Anyway,
the next hearing in October, is that going to address the change of venue?
Oh, hold on here. Let me see what's going on here. Give me a second here, Ty. Sorry. Make sure. Oh, it's okay. Go ahead, Jody, with your question. See if this is better. I turned you up.
Thank you. The next hearing in October, Ty, are they going to address the change of venue then?
No, I think that motion still needs to be filed, actually, Jody. So that will be addressed. He's still got to file it because he's working on actually compiling the motion.
Okay, I didn't quite hear what her question
She was asking if the change of venue would be addressed on the October 15th hearing, and I said at this point you still got to file it, so it probably will be considered later.
Yeah, that hasn't even been filed yet.
And that'll be considered probably by the next judge, correct?
Yes. That's exactly the point. Okay. In fact, nothing at this point. Judge Morgan shouldn't be making any decisions at this point.
Yeah.
Right. The only reason we're going in on the 15th is so that we can see if there's been a ruling from the higher court.
Yeah, right.
Judge Morgan shouldn't be making any decisions on this
until the higher court rules if he stays in the case. Now, Ty, did they ever?
That was the whole point of the continuum.
Did they ever produce the missing 3.5 minutes that they claimed was on Pitcher's body cam? Did they ever produce that? No. Okay. It doesn't exist. I went back through transcripts of the Rory's trial. I went through your discovery that I have. I went through, and there's.
Well, you want to know what I found in my pile of paperwork here?
What's that?
I found a memo from Christine Boyce saying that they don't have it.
Oh, you did? Oh my God! Well, you got it. Yeah. You've got to. Hopefully, you bring that. Yes.
So when we have the rehearing on that motion limiting, Oh,
Yep.
yeah, that's going to be coming out. No,
Oh, yeah, that's awesome because that was something that you said that Mansfield got really upset about, right? I mean, that he was like,
yeah, no, he straight up told me he wasn't going to give it to me.
yeah,
right?
because he doesn't have it.
He said, man, he wasn't going to give it to me because I was like, I filed a demand for discovery because, okay, they said they had an uncut version of my interview, which I still have yet to see. And then they had the missing 3 minutes from Rory's interview, which I still have yet to see. And I've been going, look, I've gone through everything in this case numerous times, both in the criminal case and in civil cases, and I have yet to see those things come up.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So if they have them, I'll be highly surprised if they can produce them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the whole point. Is that, but he lied to Morgan saying, oh, well, we have these, it sounds real good, like there's stuff missing, but we've given it to them numerous times. And all that. Morgan
Now, are you
took them at their word? You know what I'm saying?
Are you going to be?
I did the demand for discovery. And then he tells me, man, point blank, he's not going to give it to me. He's not going to give me discovery in court. And Morgan doesn't address that either. You know what I'm saying? And then tells me I'm supposed to get my transcript? Well, not the transcripts, the audio recordings from the state, which I still have yet to receive.
Right.
For the hearings. So it's like, okay, so that's another motion you're going to be seeing coming up very soon is a motion to compel, right? Because I want the things I asked for in discovery, right? And I still haven't gotten them.
Yep.
None of those things, So, so that one you're going to be seeing too. You're going to see that extension. You're going to see the motion to compel. There's also a motion that they're really not going to like. I have kind of a nasty name for this motion, but man, it's a motion for impeaching information. It's what it is, right? And literally, they have to give me every bit of impeaching information they can possibly get on all their witnesses. Which, I mean, goes from anything that they've ever been paid,
right,
anything they've ever received, any jobs, and Lord knows goes down the line of different things that they have to give me. And man, look, I took that one straight out of the book, so man, they're gonna have a hard time arguing against it. So it should be pretty interesting to see what they think of that one.
Now,
because, man, hell, that could take them months just to put that together.
Now, let me ask you this, Ty. I saw after you and I talked yesterday. I went and looked at some of the news clippings, but you also had told me that the feds are down south. Do you believe that they're looking into your situation?
I do.
Okay.
I do, and from what I've heard, they're looking specifically at the courthouse here in Key West.
Okay.
Now they should be looking at the entire system.
Right.
Now my exact words to the DOJ when I filed my complaint with the Department of Justice is, the legal system down here is nothing more than organized crime masquerading as a legal system. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and all of a sudden, not only are they looking at the courthouse down here, but I think I told you about the Trauma Star incident.
Yes.
Right? That's become a huge issue down here.
And that was an article I saw. Yes.
Yeah, well, I've been saying that for 4 years now, and man, everybody thought I was nuts about them talking about how they're running cocaine with the Trauma Star.
Yep.
Right? And sure enough, man, they go ahead and they indicted 4 people. Right? Originally, it was a pilot, it was a nurse, a doctor, and the director of Trauma Star. Right? So those were the first 4 people to get indicted. Now it's gone up to a division fire chief, a district manager for the county. But eventually it's going to make its way up to Rick Ramsey, right? Because Rick just bought 3 more of those helicopters, and he can't even justify the numbers for the 2 he has. Right? He already has 2 of these things.
Unbelievable.
Right? And one of the ways I knew what they were doing is because, these things make an average of 45 flights per month. So you're telling me more than once a day somebody has to be life flighted to Miami from here? Mm-hmm. It's like, we have 2 hospitals in the Keys, what I'm saying? We don't really need the life flight people like that, So, okay, that's 45 for 1 helicopter. Now you got 2 of them, so you're telling me 90 people per month need to be life flighted from here to Miami?
Yeah, no.
Something
doesn't make...
No, it was pretty obvious what they were doing. Because, look, when Ramsey first got elected back in 2012, he went out and got himself a 12-passenger jet. And everybody questioned, what does the sheriff's department need a 12-passenger jet for?
Well, yeah, no kidding. That's crazy.
Yeah, so, they got rid of it, right? That was way too obvious. But then he goes out and gets himself the life flight, which is a helicopter that can make it to Miami in less than an hour. You know what I mean? So now, man, it didn't, it just didn't take that, it didn't take, a lot to figure that out, man. Look, it's not rocket science, know what I mean? But anyway, so now that has already been cracked, that little nut has been cracked, and people are getting indicted. You know how that goes.
Oh yeah.
Keep on running their mouths. But the big question is, like I said, Rick Ramsey just bought 3 more of those helicopters. You know what I'm saying? Now everybody's like, well, what does that have to do with your case? Well, it has a lot to do with my case. You're talking about criminals. You're talking about, man, when people, I think we've talked about this.
Yep.
When they say, get yourself a lawyer, and they try and, do this through the law. The law means nothing down here.
No, it's a dirty system all the way around.
Dealing with, again, when I'm arguing with Judge Jones or I'm arguing with Judge Morgan, I might as well be arguing to El Chapo. Or arguing to Pablo Escobar. You know what I'm saying? That's how much the law means to these people. You know what I'm saying?
Now, Ty, some people in chat are asking, has your mail privileges been revoked or anything like that? Are you able to still receive mail? Are you getting packages and everything?
I can still receive mail.
Okay.
Right? Okay, but you have to send it to the Phoenix, Maryland. That's the address because they scan our mail in now and send it to us via the tablet.
Oh,
they
okay.
scan it in, we get it electronically now. Now, if somebody was trying to send me a book or something like that, well, then it has to come from like an authorized retailer, and then you can send it directly to the jail.
Gotcha.
I know some people posted up my return address that's on my letters. No,
right.
That's not where
you want to send it. Okay.
That's all. Yeah. That's only a return address, so I can get it back.
I
Right?
got you.
But but anything anybody wants to send me, send it to the Phoenix, Maryland address.
And then they're scan it in and get it on your tablet.
I think Christine put it up. I think a couple
I've got it.
Okay.
But that's where, if you want to send me mail, that's where you send me mail to.
Awesome.
And here's another one too, because it's election season down here, right? And then all these jackasses have all been running unopposed. The sheriff, Dennis Ward, the judges, they're all running unopposed. You wonder how this keeps on going.
Well,
keep on doing this.
I know.
Like I said, everybody's getting they're cut of the pie.
Yep.
What I'm saying?
Well, it's also why judges need term limits as well, and it shouldn't be a lifetime appointment. It should be.
Well, look, that's a big one down here too, is the politics, right?
Yep.
Because last year they had this big push to have Miami-Dade take over Monroe County, right? Take over the judicial system down here in Monroe County, right? So, and they fought against it because you would never see a politician ever get elected here again, right? And Miami just has a hell of a lot more voting power. Miami's what, millions?
Mm-hmm.
And then the entire population of the Keys is 80,000.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? They'd always get outvoted.
Right.
So that whole Bubba system crap would just immediately dissolve. Right. All this garbage that you're seeing down here would immediately go away. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, man, did you tell everybody about the other pro se murder cases that we have here?
Yep. 3. I have not been live since we talked, but yeah, go ahead. That's something. Yeah, definitely that is an
Well, no, it was stupid of them for them to put me here. Okay, Morgan thought he was doing all his damage, by putting me here, when really all it did was, just make more of me.
Yeah, I was going to say, now people are emboldened by what you were able to accomplish and the fact that you can fight for yourself.
How effective it can be, right?
Well, that's why
instead of sitting here forever, they can actually do something.
Now, let me ask you this, Ty. From your perspective as a pro se defendant, how well, what type of resources have they provided you? That's a huge gap there, correct? A lot needs to be done with that.
That's a joke, man. I'll tell you what. I'll call you right back, and man, we'll laugh about that a little bit.
All right, sounds good, man. All right, so Ty will be calling. So we're getting a third installment tonight. All right, awesome. We're gonna get it back 15. So we're going 45.
What did he say last time? He said if there's only one sharpener in the dorm.
Yeah. So that's like I said, that's something that he was telling me. So for everyone, to update everyone on what we're talking about here, Ty yesterday in our conversation was updating me. There are 2 other pro se unaliving defendants right now. One of them reached a plea agreement for himself. The other one right now is taking it to trial as well. And that is the individual that Ty talked about on the last live, who Danielle Malone said after his girlfriend shot herself, said, grab the gun and secure it. And when he did, he touches the gun, gets his fingerprints on the gun, and now that gun has become a main piece of evidence in the case against him. And they're using it against him to say that his fingerprints were on the gun, which meant he shot her, not herself. So
He's been in jail for 2
unbelievably
years now.
incompetent individual in Danielle Malone, causing people to go to jail even when she's not a detective and she's a 911 operator. I mean, she can't even do that right. It's unbelievable. But there's other ones as well. There's other guys that are in there going pro se, and Ty's there helping them and encouraging them to do that. So it's kind of a spread, because as you guys will see when we air, and I'll be airing it soon, it's something I want to be there for and sit with when we're listening to it. The Rory Wilson trial, and it's read to us. It's unbelievable how poor Gomez Melita was and how terrible her cross-examination of John Travis Johnson was. And that will answer the question once and for all for everyone who says, why isn't Ty getting a lawyer? Why did Ty reject the public defenders? And the answer to that is they are terrible. They're inadequate. And as Ty said, they're only allocated $14,500 for the case. And unfortunately, in Gomez Melita's case, a 6-year case, once she got her 14.5, that's it. And I want you to think about that for a minute. Over 6 years. Give me a moment here.
So you have a call at no expense to you from
Franklin Tucker,
an inmate at Monroe County Sheriff's Department. To accept this call, press or say 5. To refuse this call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using IC Solutions. You may begin speaking now.
All right. What's going on, Ty? All right. So we were talking about the resources you're provided as a pro se defendant.
Anyway, man, so here's the deal. This is what they give me, man, for a pro se inmate, man. You get a box. You're allowed to have a box, but, man, I'm allowed 3 of them because I got so much paperwork. Lord knows I've got more paperwork than everybody in the cell combined.
Oh, I bet.
Or everybody in the dorm combined. But anyway, so, you get, every month you get 2 golf pencils, right? Those are those little half pencils that you fill out your lottery tickets with.
So is that what you're writing your motions with, Ty?
Are you shitting me?
Yeah, I'm writing them with pencil because, man, the flex pens suck, man. The flex pens
I can bet.
nothing more than the inside of the pen, right? You know how you have the hard outside of the pen, man, that you write with?
Right.
They take out the inside, and they call that a flex pen. I
Now,
got 4 of those for a month.
Now, is there a way, Ty, to get you a computer? Like, is there?
No. I actually asked for one.
Okay.
The thing was, I asked for quite a few different things.
Right.
And I was refused.
Okay.
And I made sure that I exhausted all my grievances so that I could take it into the court, right?
Okay.
Now, I realized, man, after doing that Morgan wasn't going to help me with it anyway.
Well, is there a way that if we were able to get a computer for you, that we could get it to you? Would they let you use it, or would they block you from having it?
Hell no.
Okay.
They've already told me they won't allow anything in here for me.
Okay. Well, because
they wouldn't even allow me. Let's put it this way, Steve. It's so bad they wouldn't even allow me to get a day planner. Right? I was trying to get a day planner to keep my schedule straight and all that other shit.
Well, because I just think you need to have a computer, because I mean, even if it's just you don't need anything particularly fancy, but a computer that you can be able to have access to the videos and all the evidence.
That they'll do this. They'll give me time, man, with one of their laptops. They'll give me time with it. So I have USB drives that are my property.
I got you.
Break those out, and man, I'm allowed to have, I think, 5 hours a week. Which, man, you know how much video there is.
Oh yeah.
I think it's like 5 hours a week that, man, I'm allowed to get with, man, to watch video or listen to audio or any of that kind of crap. But here's the problem: they won't make copies of it for exhibits, right? So they're refusing to make copies of any of that stuff.
Really?
And I
But
still have to figure that one out.
I would think they're required to do that, even if it's not to go to you, that it could still be put on a thumb drive in your possession, because, I mean, you're required to get a copy of it. I mean, not to mention that, there is a sense
that's why I got the why I got copy services on my jack list. Right?
Now,
copy places, man, so that, man, I can go ahead and send them out and get them copies, hopefully.
Now, when you get a private investigator,
Do that yet or not.
when you get a private investigator, you're going to be able to get, like, would that private investigator be able to get in contact with people like Todd O'Quinn who are under the no contact order to talk to them, even though they're your private investigator, or that'd still be blocked?
Yep, exactly. I'll go ahead and have the private investigator take care of that kind of
Right,
stuff.
that's what I was thinking.
Oh, I thought he couldn't.
Well, not only that, that's one of the things I'm going to have reheard, man, is
Right.
that motion, man, to have.
Well, that's suspect in and of itself that he blocked you from getting that lifted and didn't understand the fact that you're.
It was worse because he blocks me, and then he tells me, well, he wants to hear it from Todd O'Quinn. Well, how the fuck am I supposed to make? Sorry, man.
No, you're all right. You're all right. That's cool.
Get Todd O'Quinn. How am I supposed to get Todd O'Quinn to tell you that when I can't ask him to tell you that?
Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like, Morgan was a pain in the butt, man, and very, don't get me wrong, very frustrating in a lot of ways. But look, man, it's like I said, I don't know if you read that letter that I wrote to him, but I'm like, man, look, I've been doing this for 7 years now.
Yep.
I've been fighting this fight longer than he's been a judge and a PD combined.
Yep.
So, if he thinks he's busting out anything new on me, look, man, I've seen all your dirty little tricks, and man, yes, you busted them out a hell of a lot more blatant than Jones did, but in some ways I should be thankful for that.
Well, yeah, because he literally has let it fly. He's made the case of just how bad he is and just how biased he is.
Yeah, exactly.
And
he made it blatant to the point where, okay, this is blatant retaliation. Right? I mean, straight up, and not only blatant retaliation, but man, you are definitely, man, trying to railroad me right into a life sentence.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
When I wrote the motion to show cause, I was like, look, if you guys are just going to, man, throw the rope over the tree branch and let's get it over with.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I mean, that's basically where it's at. I mean, they were tying my hands behind my back to that point. It's like, okay, you're trying to make, literally, I mean, that was the whole point of throwing me in jail. Right?
Yep.
You wanted to rush me to that September 6th date, being totally unprepared and having no way to prepare.
Yep.
Right? So I'd have to go in there and, man, have absolutely no defense.
Right.
And I mean, I'll tell you what, even then, I was at a point, I'm like, you know what? Doesn't matter.
Well, you would still listen, Ty. The entire case truly comes down to John Travis Johnson, and at the end of the day, you got to stand up there and listen. I mean, I know at the end of that last trial, you were tired and they kept interrupting you, but I hope now one of the biggest things is you look. There is no procedure for you. There is no decorum for you. I don't care if Mansfield calls you to 17 sidebars. In fact, how are they going to get you to a sidebar? Because what's the movement in the court in front of the jury? So my thing is, you let it fly. You tell them, listen.
And not only that, look, you got to remember too, Steve. I've learned a lot, since the last trial.
Yep.
Right. I'll tell you right now, because last time I relied a lot on cross-examination.
Yep.
Right. Oh no, JoJo's going to be doing a lot more direct this time than he's going to be doing at
Good.
cross.
Good.
So almost all the witnesses, man, I'm calling them myself during the defense too.
Because remember,
because there is a big difference between cross and direct examination.
there is, and you can tell the story in your cross. So you need to load up the questions with the answer.
Not only that, I can bring up new things. I
Yes.
can bring out new exhibits. I can bring out, man, I can bring out those videos that man freaking weren't shown the last time.
And you're not a lawyer, so you can talk to the jury. Remember, what I want you to understand, the biggest thing for you that makes you the pro se thing so effective is you can testify the entire time you're in the courtroom. You can testify through every single question you ask.
Talking about Vinny Politan?
Yep.
When we were talking about him yesterday, it's like, okay, Vinny was the first person to really recognize that.
Yep.
And I recognized that right away as an advantage of being pro se.
Yep.
Right? There's some serious advantages to being pro se.
Absolutely.
And one of them is this, right? And this is one a lot of people don't get. Is, man, okay, look, in every case, I don't care what case it is, the jury wants to hear it from the defendant. They want to be able to judge whether or not they think the defendant is lying.
Yep.
Right? That's everybody, right?
Yep.
You don't want to hear it through somebody else. You want to hear it from the person being accused, right?
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense. But how often does that ever happen? No, most cases, man, the defendant does nothing all trial except sit there and look guilty. Because, man, the lawyers won't throw them on the stand because they're afraid they're going to get twisted up, that that the prosecution's going to make them look guilty even if they're not, all that other crap, right? So they never put them on the stand. So the jury never gets to hear the story from the accused.
Yep.
Right? Well,
That's right.
if you're pro se, though, no, the jury gets to hear that all day.
All day long. That's right.
What you're presenting. They're doing it by what you're presenting, how you're presenting it, exactly what you're telling your story through the case.
Yep.
Right? And not only that, but getting to know you as a person, right? Which is, again, a huge benefit, right? Because look, I'll tell you what, God help it if the jury actually likes you.
Yep. Yep.
Because it's a lot harder to convict somebody that you like.
Yep.
So anyway, Vinny called that out the very first day he saw me go on trial, man. When I went to the trial last time, after that very first day, man, Vinny, man, saw the benefit of that, and that's one of the benefits. There's some other benefits that, man, I've realized now, that I've been doing it, because okay, you gotta remember, I went pro se, 4 months before trial last time? I went pro se.
Yep.
Well, now I've been doing it, man, for a year.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And a lot of pre-trial. And doing a lot of pre-trial now. And here's some, there's some huge benefits to being pro se, man.
Absolutely.
Pre-trial. One of them is that we are faster than they ever could be. Right? I mean, this system is designed to move slowly. It's designed to leave you in jail, leave you in jail, leave you in jail, leave you in jail, leave you in jail until you're willing to take a plea.
Yeah, the Florida system is absolutely. I mean, it's ridiculous how long it takes for a trial to come about.
Well, the pro se inmate breaks that system all down. Because look, while it takes, man, a PD, 3 months to write a motion, I can write 20 in a week.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And even with the snail mail that they're making me use, I'm still faster than they are, right? Faster than they ever could be.
Yep.
Because look, I only have one client to worry about. That's it. And I actually care about my client, So yeah, and then it's like a lot of these guys. You ask them, David's going to start interviewing a couple of them, right? And it's like, you ask them, okay, when's the last time a PD got any of these people out of jail? That answer would probably be never. You know, as far as they don't get them ROR, they don't get them out of jail, and you know damn well that, man, anybody, man, fights significantly better once they're on the outside.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I mean, it's to everybody's best interest, man. If you're trying to really represent your client, then that's what you're trying to do.
Yep.
The other thing is when these TVs come in here, you'll hear them the whole time going, well, let me see what the state has to say. Let me check with the state. Let's see if they're making an offer. Let's see what the state wants to do. Okay, is the state running my defense or are you running my defense? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Straight up. It gets to the point where, these people, they're nothing more than another arm of the state.
Yep.
You said it yourself when you said you were going to do Roy Wilson's trial.
Yep.
You look at Anna Gomez Malata, the lawyer that Roy Wilson had, and look, we all know Roy Wilson was guilty as hell. Right?
Yep.
Everybody knows that.
Yep.
Right? But the bottom line is here's that, for as much as I personally can't stand that man, right? I'll tell you what, he still deserved a fair trial.
Absolutely he does.
Get one.
Yep, 100%.
There's no way.
No.
You talk about ineffective assistance of counsel.
Oh, her cross-examination of John Travis Johnson in that case, I was really looking forward to seeing what it was because I thought, this will be great. Like, I want to see what she did with it.
Didn't call a single witness.
It was terrible. Yeah, she didn't call.
He actually put himself on the stand. That was it.
I mean, it was terrible. And I mean,
and this guy, it's like, look, yes, he was guilty of sin, but look, that's not the point.
No.
The point is, man, everybody is supposed to get a fair trial. Everybody is supposed to get effective assistance of counsel.
Yep.
And no, he didn't get that.
Yep.
And nobody down here does. That's why, man, when you said that to me yesterday, you're like, I finally understand why you don't want to take a lawyer down there.
Yeah.
You're damn right I'm not going to take a lawyer down here.
Yep.
I'm not having Pablo Escobar decide to appoint my lawyer for me.
Yep.
I'm somehow going to win.
Yep.
Yep. There's no logic in that, so. Yeah, man. I mean, it's insane, But I'll tell you, there are benefits to being pro se.
Oh.
And I'm telling you right now, if every inmate in here decided to go pro se tomorrow, it would shut this entire dirty system down quickly, right? Because they can't move fast enough. First off, right? They would never be able to move fast enough.
Yep.
Then the other one is also financially it would cost them millions of dollars, man, real quick.
Well, that's why, like, if everybody at one time, if every defendant decided at one time to assert their right to a speedy trial, it would shut the system down because they couldn't deal with it. And
No, that's a dirty little thing you don't know about.
Yep.
Okay, here's the thing.
Mhm.
This is the way they handle that down here. Right?
Okay.
Nobody gets a right to a fair trial. I mean, not fair trial, a speedy trial down
Right, right.
Because, okay, what ends up happening is as soon as you get arrested, right,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have a PD, first appearance within 48 hours.
Right.
You're going to have a PD, somebody from the public defender's office, come to your man's cell, and they're going to be like, look, you know, whether you're getting a lawyer or whatever you're going to do, you know, look, I'm just going to represent you for this one hearing because they're going to tell you your charges, they're going to decide whether or not they're going to let you go, you know, that kind of thing. But it's only going to be like a 45-minute hearing, and I'm just going to represent you for this hearing, right?
Right, right.
And everybody signs off on the piece of paper. But what they don't understand is for that 45 minutes to an hour that guy represents you,
he waives your right to a speedy trial. Yeah.
For you. He can make decisions for you.
Yeah.
What do? Every single time they check the box that says waive your right to a speedy trial.
Really?
Right? So every single person in here has waived their right to a speedy trial automatically.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. I was going to say Florida has an epidemic of long waits. It's an average of 5.5 years to go to trial in Florida on any crime. And that's why some wait as long as 6. And the thing is, it's not like a lot of these people are not necessarily out on bond. They're in jail, like Ty is.
I gotta get going, Steve.
Yeah, no problem, Ty. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll tell you what.
See you,
Ty.
Ty.
Again real soon, man, because I mean, you know, look,
Absolutely.
I like letting everybody know what's going on.
For certain.
Lord knows people really do need to know what's happening.
Yes, and we don't have cameras to see the hearing, so
No.
we need to hear from you and know what's up. So thanks for
Well,
thanks for.
Hopefully, man, you'll be hearing more of me, for the near future.
Yes.
We'll see.
All right.
Anyway, I'll holler at you later.
All right, man. Yep. Stay positive.
Bye.
All right, man. Yep. All right. Good. All right. Talk to you. All right. So there is Mr. Tucker. So
the motion to dismiss the judge, and that gets passed. Can they then re-examine his bond and perhaps get him back out?
Well, the biggest thing I think right now for Ty, to be honest with you, would be, you know, at this point, he would need to have the funds. And since he's been declared indigent, he really does, unless they would release him on his own recognizance, there's really not going to be an ability for him to post bond, because the bond was returned to whoever posted it for him, which I think was probably Lauren. They're no longer together at this particular juncture. So as a result, I think that's why he hasn't pursued it. I mean, I think really what Ty wants to do in this instance is, you know, where he's at, and that's what he was talking with me about yesterday, and a lot of people need to understand, down where he's at, he started a movement in the Monroe County Detention Center towards pro se. So he's helping people down there to get the confidence to stand up to the system themselves, and take on the system. And as he was saying, that's the best way to do it. Listen, I happen to have a slight bit of experience with that, because that was something, again, my dad's story has never been told, but for the better part of 15 years, my dad was the pro se man helping many, many people, but he wasn't doing it to shake up a system as much as helping people that didn't have money, that didn't have, you know, it costs, at least in our area, it costs $4.50 an hour. So for a sandwich and a coffee, my dad would help people, and there were clients and people that he'd helped for years, and would help them go in and fight the system. And because, again, just like down there, you would get a public defender, and it was a plea. Our system up here was just plea, or fee and plea, as I like to say. Even if you hired an attorney, they were going to try to encourage you to plea bargain.
Yep.
You know,
so easy way out.
Yep. So it's a situation where, you know, it's just, you know, terrible.
Yeah, I keep thinking Steve's waving at me, but it's not. It's
yes, the court. Yeah, I know. I decided to have Ty's trowel running behind us. It might have been too distracting. I saw that where there's people's hands and everything, and people are thinking my hands are all big. But no, that's just a witness. That's day one of Ty's trial that I was running there. I was trying to run his opening statement, but then of course he only, I think, gave a 15-minute opening. But I hope we see a different, if we do go to trial here, if there is a trial, I hope we see a much more emboldened guy than what
I
came
think
in
we
the first
will.
time. And I think we will, because I
He
think,
sounds
remember,
really confident in his plan. He sounds like he's in a good
well,
place.
understand
Headspace.
this. They had something they could hold over his head at that time, and that was revoking his bond. So, like you said, what could they do to him if he was held in contempt? If he was late, they could have revoked his bond and sent him to jail. He's in jail now, so
Yep,
he's got nothing to hold him back. So
that's
that's why I was
right.
saying to him, listen, when you rewatch his closing arguments, he was doing really well, and then they took him to the sidebar a couple times and they shook him up, and
Yep.
next thing you know, he kind of just it was a limp walk across the finish line, and he needed to stand up there and tell that jury, I am innocent, not tell the
Yes.
jury, maybe you believe me, maybe you don't know, you believe me because
But
I'm innocent.
Mansfield pushed his buttons and he got
Yep,
emotional.
yep. So, and also, yes, Sarah, absolutely, and that's right, guys. Well, while we have everyone in here,
Yes,
Vinny
yes.
Politan has taken an interest. I posted it in a short. You guys should see it on the channel. I got his attention with a $10 super chat, and he just happened to see it. But money
Money well
speaks.
spent.
So he said that he's planning to do something with the case. So we're sitting on that. I hope it happens. So get over there. Listen, we need a flood of people over there. If you can get in his
Flash
chat.
did the same thing.
Did they? Yeah.
Yep.
So what did he tell Flash Fan? Was that did he have to super chat him too, or was he able to talk to him without super chat? But
He's in the chat, I can tell you.
Yep. Yeah, he is. I did see him earlier. Hopefully he'll see it.
I know he
answer.
contacted Vinny on one of his lives about.
Well, I mean, listen, Vinny needs to. Someone like Vinny taking an interest in this case would shake up the people down there because it's what they don't want.
Yeah.
And I mean, listen, unless Vinny is corrupt, which I don't think he is. I mean, he's got to take a look at this. Anyone with any type of legal background looks at this case, looks at what the case was, and really what everyone has to really very simply direct everyone to. If there's one thing you direct everyone to, if you want evidence of what this case is about, direct them to the transcript of the motion to dismiss from July of 2023. I posted it up, AI voice reading. You can see it scrolling. You can also find it if you dig back deep. It's the transcript of the motion to dismiss hearing that Ty Tucker had in 2023, July of 2023. It's on my channel. Hey, everyone, please, if you want to air it on your Jody, if you want to air it, even air portions, you're more than welcome to air anything you want.
The Detective Pritchard one got me.
Yeah. Well, that's got significant stuff in there. But what is significant about what I'm about to speak about is that from out of Mansfield's mouth in his closing argument, he gave a closing statement. He says, this case, he acknowledges, we have no other evidence in this case but John Travis Johnson. There's nothing else. Everything had fallen apart at that point. There's no physical evidence that links Ty to the case. There's no eyewitness testimony. There is nothing else. Now, unfortunately, testimony, if you understand how court works, is evidence. So when you say there's no evidence, as long as John Travis Johnson is willing to testify, but he acknowledges that, says, listen, you're right. Until John Travis Johnson cut a deal with us and agreed to tell what he knew, and the way the state's choosing to look at that is he's telling the truth now all of a sudden. They didn't have a case against Ty.
Yeah.
And they really don't. And he says that. He admits that. So with that knowledge, if you want someone to say, hey, you don't got to tell them, let Mansfield tell them. And then when you look at that and you say, okay, let's look at John Travis Johnson's testimony. What backs it up? What supports it? And again, one of the most important things everyone has to understand is when you're analyzing testimony, and this is where hopefully Ty can understand this when he does his closing argument, if he gets that far, is when you're analyzing a witness's testimony, the jury is allowed to consider what motivation is there in testifying today. Is there anything that would motivate them to not tell the truth? That's why that deal that he made is significant. Yes. And then you look at the fact that it doesn't make sense with the evidence. It doesn't make sense with anything that happened. And then you go in and you look at the little things. One of the things that no one has talked about enough is you go back and you watch John Travis Johnson's cross-examination. Ty did a really good job on a lot of things in that, but it was done in a way that wasn't like as clean as a lawyer would done. So it was kind of, the judge did a good job. If you notice during that entire cross-examination, the judge and the prosecutors were just trying to create distractions to make Ty look incompetent. But one of the biggest things that he pointed out was the fact that John Travis Johnson tells a story that does not include or explain why he was on a camera entering CVS. And he never says he was there at CVS. And the question is, why was that left out? And since he's on there, it's one of the few videos that survived.
Why couldn't Ty bring it in?
Well, he did. He cross-examined him on it. He showed.
But he didn't bring in the actual video of John Travis Johnson. John
Travis Johnson, he didn't lie about it. See, some things like that you can only bring in for purposes of impeachment. And since John Travis Johnson said, "Yeah, well, I guess it was on there," and he said, "Well, can you explain it?" He said, Ty, I can't explain it. I mean, I may have left it out. I may have forgotten.
He lost his shit, yes.
And he lost his cool. That's when he started losing his cool. Yep.
Mr. Tucker.
Yep. And he was upset. And that was when then they started to jump in and run distractions so that no one remembers the fact that you have this issue with now the story of John Travis Johnson. And if you have any issue whatsoever with the story and it falls apart, guess what? The whole case against Ty falls apart.
Yep.
And that's why the whole distraction of bringing in bringing in the pictures from the Facebook for Paula, and Paula became kind of a distraction because she ultimately provided evidence that didn't exist in terms of the state, instead of the state having to argue just John Travis Johnson, and Ty coming up and saying, listen, John Travis Johnson is incredible. The one thing that he has to say to that jury is, and this is what my dad used to always say if it was one witness versus the defendant, is if you're going to rely on this witness, you have to consider it like this. If you have a family member who has an important decision to make in his life depends on it, maybe something to do with medical, whatever, and the only person in the world you have to rely on is John Travis Johnson. Would you, without any reasonable doubt, remember, a reasonable doubt is a doubt from a reasonable person would have. Would you have any reason to doubt John Travis Johnson? If you would, if you'd hesitate, it's not guilty. And that's it in this case. It comes down to really that simple.
Yep.
So, but I don't think the thing about it is, I was seeing chat there. I don't think there's going to be, unfortunately, I don't think, unless now, if Vinnie Politan could get involved with this case and air this case,
get to that stuff.
Why do you think Sarah Boone got the lawyer she did? Because Law and Crime and Court TV aired her little ad and talked about it for like 3 weeks. And then that guy said, I'll do it. Listen, someone would step up. A good lawyer would step up like they would and say, this man's down in Key West. Now, it does help that she's promoting herself, and she's kind of a little bit more of a more friendlier background. She's not a homeless person or a drug addict or anything like that. Or, and those things kind of don't make the nicest, tidiest story.
That's pretty much what I said to Ty the other day.
Yep,
I said, Karen Reed's getting all the attention because you haven't got a JJ, pretty much.
Yep. Well, that's probably
not that she's not deserving of it, but
no.
It's exactly the same. Exactly the same.
And Flash Fan 8085 makes a fantastic point here. I'll throw it up on the screen. That's why we need cameras in that courtroom. Yes, we do. And that's why, listen, ask this question. Monroe County, one of 3 counties that doesn't allow cameras in the courtroom. And the question is, why?
Why?
Yeah, why?
If you haven't got anything to hide.
Why don't they want cameras in the courtroom?
Yep.
And that is a question that again, it begs to be answered, and it should be answered. I would like to think that Vinny would. Ty wants me to try to reach out. I'm going to try to send something to him. And I'm going to try to let him know that Ty wants to talk to him if he's willing to talk. They know where. Listen, they know where Ty's at, or once they start looking at the case, they're going to know where he's at, and he'll go down there. Look, the Robert Tellis case. They were down there. Court TV was down there interviewing him in Nevada the day after the trial. I mean, they can go down I hope when he starts to look into this, he sees what a great story this could be, because it really is. And this is something that they need to run with and start looking into. And man, it'd be awesome.
the comparisons between his case and Karen's are almost identical as far as the corruption level goes, all the way from the bottom to the top.
Yep.
There's no physical evidence, nothing.
Yep.
The shoddy investigations.
Yep.
So
It's like I said, it's quite a case. And when you dig deep into it and you look at everything that's going on, look,
yep.
there's a lot
yes.
we haven't
Here you
even
go,
talked
another
about.
one.
I haven't talked about in the case. There's the list of all the people that have died. Crystal Dinklocker. You've got Paula. You've got Michael Alexander. You've got, some died of natural causes, some died of suspicious, some died of overdoses. These are people that are all, remember, Crystal Dinklocker was the one that allegedly, Anthea Clay. Anthea Clay died. All these people have passed away. All these people are falling off and dying and getting picked off. And they're all the witnesses that you say, hey, call this guy. Like Michael Alexander saw a guy at Tom Thumb take off a sweatshirt and put it in a trash can, to which there was supposed to be video of that, and that's never been. But Officer Pacifico on the body cam, and no one's ever been able to ask that. I mean, these are the things that you look at the deaths surrounding this case, and all the people involved in it, and then you ask yourself, why? What's happening here? And then there's this individual guy. If you haven't seen it yet, it's on the Facebook page. The Thurner guy. I think that guy's totally seems to be a troll. But I mean, there's all sorts of people surrounding this case that when you go deep into this, you go into the if you go back and you look at Washington, his police statement, and you watch that, he says that in that police statement, he tells you that. Or Anthea Clay says that in his police statement, he talks about the real person behind all of this. I mean, you go in and you look at the private investigator notes, which is in Ty's court file, that talk where Anthea Clay was talked to, and she talks about stuff. There's so much to this thing, but Ty is not involved, was never involved. And one of the things people say, well, how did he get involved? He got involved because he was the one. If you go and
wrong
again,
place, wrong time.
Well, wrong place, wrong time. But to really understand it is you've got to go listen to those hot mic interrogation tapes. They're on Ty Tucker, Free Franklin Tucker's website on his YouTube, and you've got to go onto it and you've got to listen to it, because that is key to understanding everything. Because you will hear, and I actually enhance them. I've got to put it together, and it's another video I want to listen to while we're listening, and we can listen to it together. And Jody, maybe we can come on together and air it and listen to it with everyone.
Yeah, no worries.
Because it's got, you hear Phelps talk about this with other officers, and you hear them talk about how they picked Ty Tucker, how they got how Ty Tucker becomes, and that the only basis they had for suspecting Ty Tucker of anything was because he was the white guy showing up at Metro with T-Mobile, and that's it. And they even acknowledge that's it with Rory. And then they go look at his, and then they go look at it, and they basically say he feels like he's the right guy.
Yep.
And basically Phelps says, I think, this is him. I'm almost 100% certain. This looks like this. And they just felt like he was it. He met what they thought was their standard, and then they moved forward. And you hear her talking about in there, acknowledging, we have nothing on Franklin. How do we move on Franklin? We have to figure it out. And that's why when they went and they picked him up at the raid and questioned him for a few hours, they didn't have nothing to hold him on. And then he leaves. And then they tell him, pay attention to all the cameras. Well, all that video is missing now. But they tell him, pay attention to all the cameras. And then finally they go pick him up. But they don't pick him up for unaliving. They pick him up for the threats allegedly made to April Walker, which turns out to be completely false.
Yes.
And they pick him up on that. Why did they do that? Well, why do you think they did that? Because they were looking for something to pick him up on. And then eventually when they got John Travis Johnson to flip, they were confident enough to go ahead and arrest him for the crime itself. But that was all they ever had that day. And even Mansfield confirms this. So this is not me speaking. This is, you want verification of what I'm saying. Go to that's why the hearing. And again, I aired them, and then I intend to do some things and lives and things speaking on this. I'm putting these documents up so everyone can hear them and read them and listen to them. I know it sounds like the Windows 95 guy, but listen to them, right? Listen and read, because these are important things. But That, along with Pitcher's testimony, are the two most important documents.
Yep.
Because Mansfield tells you everything you need to hear. Mansfield tells you himself that from day one, all they ever had was John Travis Johnson. And day two, all they ever had, and today, all they have is John Travis Johnson. If Travis falls, the case falls. And if all they have is John Travis Johnson, then you really, anyone who would think Ty is guilty has to ask themselves, do you really believe it? And if you do, well, then explain why his story makes no sense.
Yep.
And
he has the perfect motive as well.
Yes. And again, prior to confessing, he puts himself with Rory that night.
Yeah.
Him and Roy he doesn't put himself with Tuck. Now, Tuck says, hey, later on that night, they went down there after all that happened, after all the hoopla and the police come, they go down to Tom Thumb. And he thought they might have even walked across over to CVS. All that's corroborated with CVS cameras and different things. So the question is, if that's all they got, then you got a big problem because his story doesn't make any sense.
And if you were going to do an armed robbery for gas money for your car, I'm sorry.
That makes no sense.
And he admits on the stand that he wanted to get high.
Yep. I mean, it's real simple. Now the thing is that I believe, and this is as I've gone deeper into this, and I'm looking at all the different things. I'm looking at some of the statements from Anthea Clay and things that have come out. There is a possibility. There is a possibility that there's another reason why Todd O'Quinn is not on the witness stand, and that is because Todd O'Quinn possibly, according to Anthea Clay, could have been more involved in this thing than what anybody ever thought. Because there is some inferences throughout the case that he and Roosevelt Washington may have been present or aware this thing was going to happen, and that Todd O'Quinn may have been some of the basis by putting in phone calls to other people to say Anthea Clay's loaded with cash and drugs up there. And that ultimately they were down there messing around with the girl, and then they're waiting, and then these guys show up. Now, Todd doesn't expect anyone's going to die, doesn't expect his friend's going to die. And that's why if you look at Todd O'Quinn leaves, it's like he's leaving and going out. Kind of, if you look at where he says he was at when he comes running in, and again, remember, his story changes drastically from what he tells Pitcher on night one, and then he goes back and walks Pitcher through, and it's like night and day. But, could he have been a lookout or something, or standing out there as a lookout?
Torch in his hand, and
then he hears, oh my God, because remember, where I think it all goes wrong is Matt Bonnet, he hears his friend Matt, he runs in, and next thing you know, he's trying to what are you doing? Get off of him. And he and Rory get into it, and whatever. John Travis Johnson splits, jumps in his truck, and says, I'm getting out of here. This thing just went off the rails. Rory, and he grabs the thing, and now Todd's in a frenzy, and he's running around telling everybody, oh, my God, he killed him. Oh, my God, and he calls the police, and he's telling 100 stories, and he's flipping out, and this whole thing just went completely off the rails. And Paula believes it has to do with Anthea Clay, so she's talking about her. And next thing you know, again,
confuses everything.
Well, and then the feds get involved. The Federal Drug Task Force gets involved in this case because that's a place that they were doing controlled drug buys, and they were working out of the CVS parking lot. That's how they got there so fast. That's why
the Mark $100 bill.
Yeah. Well, yep, exactly. And that's why. So they get in there, and then they're like, well, we got to close this down. So for them, it's like, we got to figure this out. Phelps was like, don't worry, I'm gonna solve this thing. And they go in and get pressure, and they don't want it to fall back on certain people because certain people were important assets for them in making other cases and doing things. And then next thing you know, again, like I said, Ty gets involved only out of bad luck. And then this lady, again, the same people that are involved in telling a person to pick up and secure a firearm and using that very firearm they know he touched as part of a 911 call, they're going to go forward and say, okay, those are the people that are collecting and investigating the case and collecting evidence in the case. Remember, this evidence wasn't secured. Why don't they have physical evidence in the case, you ask? Because it wasn't stored properly. It was stored in the office of Matt Pitcher. It was stored in the office of Danielle Malone.
Or on the side of the road.
And there was evidence mishandled in the case. Now, the state chose not to bring that into this case because they've made their case very simple. That this is a case where they're going to bring in the police witnesses. They're going to establish that someone died. They're going to establish where it happened and where it occurred. They're going to show some crime scene photos. They're going to bring John Travis Johnson in. They're going to have him testify. They're going to bring in the medical examiner. And then they made the decision to go ahead and call the FDLE guy because he's a pro se defendant. And they thought they could pull a fast one over him and get that in. But really, when you have inconclusive DNA results, it's unheard of that a state would call that person, that DNA expert, as a witness, because that is not evidence of anything. That's clearly because of the presumption of innocence. When something is inconclusive, the jury is instructed to view that as evidence of his innocence. That's how
the
it
other
breaks.
thing I was questioning watching the trial again with him cross-examining John Travis Johnson, the angle and the side of the actual wounds on Matthew Bonnet were delivered all on one side, and I can't for the life of me remember whether John Travis Johnson was left-handed or right-handed, because that never came into play.
Rory it was on the left side. It was delivered by a left-handed killer. Rory is left-handed. John Travis Johnson is right-handed. And the whole idea was that John Travis Johnson's story, because it was fed to him by Phelps, which they're stuck with because it's recorded, was always that Rory had a pipe and John Travis, and that the second guy, because remember, and you got to go back to the interrogation videos, they wanted the knife in Ty's hand because they believed that was who killed Matt Bonnet. So
the person that mentions the pipe is John Travis Johnson.
But again, remember, this is the problem with the fact that they didn't have autopsy results. They didn't have DNA results. And when the DNA and autopsy results come back, it shows that Rory was the killer. And as a result, now they were stuck with that. And that's when they said, well, that's why the way Mansfield dealt with it in Rory's trial, the way he dealt with it in Ty's trial, is with the principle theory, where he says it doesn't matter who stabbed who. Two guys go in, there's a fracas. Well, it doesn't matter, Mr. Mansfield, because what it matters to and what it speaks to is the credibility of John Travis Johnson, which you're just glazing over. And the fact that he has that wrong tells you that he doesn't know what he's talking about and tells you that he was lying. And when you look at where that originated at, that it originated from Phelps, who wasn't there, who was just simply telling him what he wanted to hear, and he was just feeding back Phelps' story, tells you that what he's telling you is a lie. And since he's simply regurgitating that with a little help from Mansfield to fluff it up a little bit, it tells you that the story he's telling the jury is not credible. And remember, that story that he testifies to is the only evidence that matters. It matters not what they think could have happened, or maybe it was this. It matters what he testifies to in open court. And if there is any issue with that, if there's any question as to whether or not it's believable or not, Ty Tucker walks free. Why? Because Ty Tucker, the only evidence, as per Mansfield, and if you need any verification, go back to the motion to dismiss hearing. The only evidence against John Travis Johnson is against Ty Tucker is John Travis Johnson. So there it is. And again, hats off to John Travis Johnson for getting a 5-year plea deal. I hope he doesn't go back to jail. I mean, this whole prosecution stinks. The guy who did it, who we know did it, is Rory Wilson. He's in prison. So job is done. Now this is just a personal vendetta against. Now, I don't like the fact that John Travis Johnson is testifying and doing that. That's terrible behavior to put another man in prison. But my point is, Ty was saying that they're going to, hope that they're going to potentially revoke his plea deal. I mean, listen, it is what it is. You get in a bed of vipers, and you're going to get bit. I mean, that's what it is. You lay down
with dogs, you wake up with fleas.
Yep. So this is just where it is, guys. I mean, this is just where it is. So let's look and see in chat. Is there any questions in chat about anything here, guys? Looks like there was a verdict I see in Shaver. I don't know what it was. So that's apparently while we were talking to Ty, that's what I'm seeing in chat. So, anyways, but yeah, we gotta ramp up the content on Ty. We've got a lot to do. I've got a lot to do, and again, I've been very busy, as some of you may know. I was blessed to have a successful birth of
Yay,
my fourth child, happy, healthy baby and mama.
baby Carson.
So, baby Carson. So, we've gotten that done. We're working through the first beginnings, and it's a lot, but it's time to get back. I want to get back because we have a lot to put out here, and a lot to talk about, and this case is enough to cover. I mean, again, I'm going to be covering other cases as I have been. I want to start doing some daily watches and stuff, and not just putting them up. But this is the one right here. We need to keep all focus on it, and we've got a lot to talk about. There's so much to dig into, and it's up to us to do it because no one else cares right now. It's a small contingent of the internet. I mean, if a Karen Reed case was going on right now, you would have thousands of people in the box, so to speak, talking about it. You'd have people just absolutely getting passionate about it. And right now, we have a small handful, but that's okay. We only need a handful because we can get the voices heard. But eventually, we're going to have someone take interest in this and pay attention to it. And I hope that
Someone should create a podcast.
What's that? Yeah. What's that? Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
someone should pull their finger out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like you've been busy or anything.
No. So, but we've got a lot to cover. We got to keep it going because, like I said, there's a lot to discuss, and there's a lot to break down, and I mean, like I said, we got to get into Pitcher's testimony and break it down. I mean, there's so much in there.
Oh,
I mean,
that just blew me away. Yes.
that is, when you listen to that, like I've listened to it like 3 times because I was putting it together and re-listening to it and everything, and it's unbelievable. I mean, it really is. And when you hear it and you hear all the different things that were going on that he talks about, you just hear how dirty it is. And you really realize that there really is no evidence against Ty. I don't believe, I just don't believe how anyone, like, and again, I was told by credible sources that 8 of those jurors believed in Ty's guilt, and that there was one individual in the room who really firmly said he was innocent. And there was 3 others that kind of were joining. At one point, it was 6-6.
Yep.
But I'm thinking to myself, how? But really, again, that's I believe, and one of the things we need to do, we will be doing, is I believe the closing argument is where it did not go well. I don't think it was done. I think that really was not what he needed to do as a pro se defendant. And specifically when he said, there was a moment where he was like, if you don't, it was like he was talking to, like, almost like you would talk to, like, I don't know, your wife or your parents or someone you're in trouble with, and be like, well, you don't have to believe me, but hopefully you do.
Yes.
It's like, oh,
yes.
no, you do need to believe me.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. No, there's no wrong, man. This is your life, because you weren't there. You're standing in front of a jury to tell them. You have a unique opportunity to scream this, and you know what? Let them drag me out. I mean, listen, the way I would see it is at this point, you want to lock me up and drag me out. There's television cameras here. I'm going to scream it. I'm going to get into all of it and load up the questions, tell that story, testify every day that you're there. I don't know. Like I said, well, Flash fan, I have no idea how that's possible. Oh yeah, there Becca Lynn brought up the jury wanting to get medication out of the. Oh, I immediately thought there was something weird with that. I thought, shit, man, they're like, I'm wondering if that was the juror that was they said there was a juror in there that was really hell bent on Ty's guilt. I'm like, so I feel like somebody was there who was I don't know. If anything, I think they would have put somebody on there who was maybe tied to the state. I wouldn't be shocked. But I couldn't believe they would let him leave. That was shocking to me. And I'm like, he shouldn't be allowed. Like, I'm sorry, your medicine, you don't get to leave.
You should have brought that in with you.
That's absolutely right. So, anyways, well, I think this is where we're going to end it, Jody. I know it's very early where you're at. I know it's getting late where I'm at, and we gotta
I
do
feel
stuff.
bizarre doing this in the daylight.
Yeah, I know, and I guess there's a verdict now. I don't know if I don't want to ruin it
Yes,
for
looks
anybody.
like there is, but I haven't.
I don't know
I
what it
don't know
is
what it is.
myself either.
No.
I'm curious to see
Mm.
what it is. And thank you guys. Thank you, and also
Thank
welcome
you all.
Becca Lynn, our latest moderator. So welcome to the moderating family.
Yay! She got a
Yep.
wrench.
So Gabby, everybody out there, appreciate everyone
Awesome,
out
was
there
awesome.
helping to make the stream live. Now, guys, get out here and share this stream.
Absolutely.
Share what Ty is, repackage this. Jody, you and I need to connect offline because I do. There is a way. I meant to set it up, but we got too close to 9:00. I need to get you. I need to get you. You can go in and put your channel information up. So next time we do this, it will just air like StreamYard right on your channel.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I have it. I'm
Cool.
gonna get you the information on that and get that done. So that way, when we do these things, if we do it on my channel, it's going on your channel, and then if I come over and do something on yours,
Fantastic.
same thing. That way, there's not any issues with trying to get this up because I know you're going to want to get that up. But I don't know if there's an easy way for me to send you the broadcast because I think it's
I don't
too
know.
large.
I think I have to probably save it and then re-upload it. I'm not sure.
Well, I think we'll get together offline, but I think when I give you the ability to go in, I think you should have access to my recordings, and this gets recorded. And then I delete them after time, but for now, you would be able to go in on your computer and just download our recording, and then you could re-upload it on your channel. And you could even possibly use it. We can actually set it up. Actually, you know what we can do? We'll get together offline. I can re-upload this as a pre-recorded live for you on your channel. So we'll run it as a pre-recorded live, and that way it'll run right on your channel. Unless you want to upload it as a video, but we could run it as a pre-recorded live right on my channel. Yep. I'll run it for you. We'll get you to sign in and rerun it, and then that way you can get
I'm
it
getting
up on your
so
channel.
close to monetization. So
yes,
close.
Look, everybody, get over there. If you're watching, if you're not subscribed to the Defense Rest, please help her out. It's very difficult to.
I've got like 100 hours.
100 hours to go. Is that what you need? Yep. How many subscribers are you at now, Jody?
300 and something. I think I need 180.
Okay. Maybe. Gotcha. Now, what I would recommend you do, Jody, consider going and setting up, which I believe they can do in things. Consider running a couple of your lives on the vertical format.
I have. Yep.
And that will help you bring in more people because it'll put you in the flippable and just run it, for the 3 hours. And, that's gonna help you reach more people. It doesn't get it doesn't like you're not monetized right now, so it doesn't matter. But I mean, the money wise, it's non-existent. It just helps with channel growth. That you're getting the short customers, not the long form. So, but for you to help, look, if you get the right stream and you hit them at the right moment, you could get 1,000 people.
Yeah. Yep.
Literally in a couple of hours. So pop one of these cases out, like, the Robert Tellis case or something like that, or you're rewatching, or this case, the Shaver case. And people will come in. They like it. They like to come in and see that because, now some nights you go in and you might get 20 or 30, but still that's 20 or 30 subscribers in a stream is really good. So
absolutely.
But test that out, play around with that. And then of course shorts too. I
have been doing a fair bit of that too.
Well, what I recommend you do, I will tell you this, for some reason, the best YouTube picks up, for some reason, the best shorts are ones that you create. Like what I do is I will use my iPhone and I will, instead of using like the video itself, I'll screen record the clip I want and then re-upload it. Basically just take that and it will reformat it in there. For whatever reason, that lands better. YouTube pushes that better than if I go in and I just use a portion of my video and reformat it. I don't know why, but I don't know if it's the metadata that it contains or whatever.
Yeah, maybe
But
it's not showing as reused data.
But those will pop off with thousands of views, and then I'll put up another one, and it might get 5 or 7 or 800 views, or it might get 30 views, and I'm sitting there scratching my head like, why? What's the difference? And I've even tested it out. I've released one in one form and one in the other, and it's just for whatever reason. So, anyways, a couple of tidbits there, but we need to stay. Hopefully, we stay in contact. We need to continue working on the other thing there that we were working on before the baby came, and get that off the ground. I know you had some fantastic ideas on that, so let's stay talking.
Yes.
All right.
Good job.
And yep. So I guess we'll go ahead and send it home, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. And
have an excellent evening. Have a lovely weekend.
Yes. And we will hopefully be doing this again soon. I think Ty wants to do this every couple of weeks. So when we do, justice is a process, and Defense Rest will be here bringing it to you. So
it's at your phone.
Yeah, I know it is. It's in the back. It's like away from me, and there it is. And I'm like,
Covering true crime and police arrest, where the judges move and the defense rests. Watching courts and trials, criminals at best, where the gavel drops and the defense rests. If you love true crime and you want the best, won't you find the time and the defense